And welcome to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders. This is a live YouTube streaming video podcast that there's words put together there by Star Wars fans, for Star Wars fans. Today we're going to share what we like about the sequel trilogy. Today we're going to be beginning with The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
We're going to get through this, people.
Yeah.
We are not going to say a
Not a
lot
negative
of negative
word.
things.
No.
I'm going to be realistic. I'm not going to say a lot of negative things.
We've had a history, and we're not the only ones. It's not like we're on an island here. I mean, there's been a lot of negative things by us and other people said about the sequel trilogy. But we thought it's not all bad. Sometimes the bad may eclipse some of the good or all of the good, but we're going to do our best to say, you know what, we can actually just focus for one show length on just the good.
We can do it,
We're going to find out if we can or not tonight. Again, you mentioned we're starting with The Force Awakens. It's weird because I think this is the most derivative, but also the least egregious. Probably because it's the most derivative of what we know and are familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's arguably it's the most frustrating as a fan because this is so far removed from what George Lucas actually wanted to say from a narrative storytelling standpoint, but also it's not that far removed from EU if we look at the EU. So, as a Star Wars fan, before there was even a glimmer of a dream of a sequel trilogy, we had tons of novels and tons of comics that already have told the story of what happens after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And for Disney to buy Lucasfilm from George Lucas and to ignore all of his show notes so much so that he actually drops himself from being an executive producer of this film, I can't help but feel frustrated because he made such poor decisions on his own.
Right?
With the direction of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi. And yet this happened. So,
the really frustrating part, and you got to think back to way back in 2012. Disney was like, all right, motherfuckers, we're not changing this that much. We're going to do our own thing, but we're going to keep it the Star Wars you know and love. We're hiring a core group of people to, work on continuity. And it's like, okay. I mean, you've had that for the past 30 years, but all right, let's see your people. Let's see what they do. And it was for 2 or 3 months, and then they're like, nah, fuck this. We're Disney. Just take back, or just sit back and take it.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most frustrating parts for me.
I think equally frustrating is that we witnessed Marvel Comics films sort of skyrocketing to success and really doing deep dives into old school comics and stuff. So, as a Star Wars fan, we're like, well, why can't you do that with Star Wars if you can do it with Marvel? What makes that so much more special that you want to maintain integrity of what's already come before it?
Right.
But this IP, you just want to say fuck it and scrap it.
And especially when it's the same fucking people pretty much doing it.
Yeah.
We got Favreau and shit in there, and that dude, just fucking leave him be. Let him do his shit. Yeah. Anything he does is gold.
Yeah.
Why they gotta micromanage so much?
Yeah. But like we said, we're not.
No, we're not gonna. We haven't started the episode proper, so right now we can get all our shit talking out if we want.
There was a promise of Star Wars continuing, and for fans of Star Wars that we grew up as children with the original trilogy. As young adults or adults, we experienced the prequels, and however you felt about that was it wasn't pre-internet age. It was in the burgeoning internet age, but it was certainly pre-social media.
Way before I had the fucking internet.
Yeah. So not everyone experienced the fallout and the frustration and the angst and the, rage keystroking that some people did about the prequels. But the truth is that George Lucas had already talked about making prequels and sequels. He already had rough sort of beats that he was going to be hitting story-wise. And so if you're coming into it with the opinion of this is someone's creative fantasy that they're crafting, this is a story that we don't know what's going to happen, but they clearly have story beats at least to go off of. They're going to tell us their version of a story, and we're going to take it at face value. Well, okay, I came into I was stationed in Germany. I was in the U.S. Army at the time, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. We got to see more than one Jedi on screen. That episode 2, where they were in the arena, and suddenly all of the lightsabers were lit in the arena, and you're just like, fuck yeah! Like, this is Star Wars. This is amazing. So even if I didn't agree with every story, narrative, device, a plot point, that's okay. That's not my story. That's his story. But this is his world, and it's not even his story. So you can't help but feel a little like, it's not really okay. But it is, but it isn't, and I have to process this. I have to be okay with this. I watched The Force Awakens in the theater twice. And, we have our initial reactions out there. We have our thoughts and our reviews over years of doing this. This is our 5th year of doing this podcast.
So
those of you who may not know that. So our opinions are out there, but just because we think of something in, any particular way in the moment, we can still be adult enough to reflect on it and still consider what may be good or bad about it, and sort of break it down that way. And the truth is that we love this franchise. We don't just want to shit on it. We don't want it to end. They're doing amazing things in streaming, in series with Star Wars. So, we have, not all the novels, the new novels are great, but there are elements that are good. There are comics out there that are pretty goddamn good. I don't collect toys like I used to, but I'm sure they're good. I don't know, maybe.
They're all right.
So that being said, let's start with The Force Awakens and our positive thoughts about the sequel trilogy. Here's the log line, if you forgot. Because again, it has been a while.
It's been a minute.
As a new threat to the galaxy rises, Rey, a desert scavenger, and Finn, an ex-stormtrooper, must join Han Solo and Chewbacca to search for the one hope of restoring peace. I don't think that happened in the film. They searched for the one hope, but technically
they did. And it ends with them finding the one hope. It was just once the baton was, or the whatever was passed.
Literally the baton in the form of a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Okay, but all we saw was it holding out at the end. And we were just like, ooh, this is amazing. The second one's going to be amazing.
Yeah. How the fuck don't you live up to that? I'm pretty sure my initial thoughts are still my same thoughts. Because, with movies, books, any sort of content that you consume, sometimes it takes multiple viewings, multiple years in between viewings just to fully appreciate it. That's why a lot of movies that kind of fall to the wayside when they first come out come back decades later as just huge fan favorites. Yeah. Like a great example, Halloween 3. I know a lot of people don't like it. They're wrong, but that's okay. They can have their opinion. But no, seriously, there is such a huge following for that movie. But when it came out, everybody's like, what is this fucking dumpster fire? So it is fun to be coming back to do it, this many years later, to kind of see, if anything changed between, your thoughts and my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've changed. And that's the thing. I've watched horror films where my opinion has changed dramatically after the second viewing, just within a week or maybe even a month. I've had horror films where I've revisited them years later and found new appreciation for them. Halloween 3 is actually one of them. I feel the exact same way that I did the first time I watched this than I did literally yesterday evening with my wife. And all I could say over and over again, like some tortured, half-witted fucking idiot in an asylum, is they had so much promise. This could have been so fucking good if it just was paid off. But I'm not going to talk bad things. It's all good things.
Well, so technically, the talking bad in that sense would be talking about the future films.
Yeah.
Which isn't a stipulation of this, because we're only going to talk good on this, which that is definitely the hardest part with this movie.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. My mind hasn't changed. The other two, it's definitely changed since the first viewing. With this one, it's just been consistently like, it was fun. I like that. I wonder where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, it's the promise of a story to unfold. There were so many wonderful little mystery drops, and I know people love to harsh on J.J. Abrams for doing this, and yes, he does this. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like dropping a lot of potential in a film, and there was a ton dropped in this film, and even in the novelization that led you to believe there was something greater or something more to be built from it. And that's the promise of this film, is that we came in with zero and we left with possibility. And that was really exciting for me. And yes, there were so many things that were nonsensical and kind of retarded. Like, why the fuck did R2 just decide at the very end to wake up? That made no sense. There was literally no catalyst for him to be like, I'm shutting down low power mode. Now I'm not going to shut down low power mode. Or why Lor San Tekka is giving me the map to Luke Skywalker, except that it's not actually the map to Luke Skywalker. It's a piece of the map to Luke Skywalker, but no one knows that about, the Imperial archives of data, except that we do have a droid that was there, that's never been wiped from the very fucking beginning, but no one thought to ask him, apparently. Like, there's a lot of nonsensical stuff in this. But
I mean, only if you think about it.
Yeah. But it's still a promise of something truly great. What are the Knights of Ren? And how the fuck is this fucking emo kid the leader of the Knights of Ren? What does that mean? Who the fuck is Snoke? He must be amazing. He's gonna bring Kylo Ren and finish his training? He's not finished with his training yet, and he's doing these amazing things with the Force we've never seen before? Who the fuck is Rey, and why is she able to do everything successfully? She's amazing. There must be a real good reason for that. Finn is clearly Force sensitive. Why the fuck are they not building on that storyline? I can't wait for the next film, because he's clearly going to be the next Jedi Master.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. Like, set up as such a good fucking character.
It's insane. The promise that they had. Okay, so there's a lot of really good things about this. And we have to, in order to sort of quantify Star Wars, I can't help but feel like this is a sort of a shortcut to thinking approach. But when you talk about monetary value, this was very successful for Disney. It was their first version of a Star Wars film, and it brought in $2 billion with a B dollars. Billion. You cannot pretend.
Box office. It's
right.
Insane.
That's not even home video, streaming, on demand, like
piracy,
owning it in multiple versions, going to see it more than once because you want to like it more than you did the first viewing, or maybe you loved it and you want to relive that love. Like, there's so many. That's just the starting point of $2 billion. So they were wildly successful with their first outing. J.J. Abrams, who love him or hate him, has done some genuinely amazing stuff. Some stinkers too, but he's human. It was a great setup. It was a wonderful sort of pitch in the Star Wars world, and watching it this second, like, I don't know, the 5th, 10th time I've seen it. Like, I've seen it so many times because I've wanted to like it more than I have liked it over and over again. I feel the exact same way as I said before. It was full of promise. And if the baton was just picked up from where it was left, and they tried to answer some of the questions that were posed, it would have been a home run for the second film.
Yeah, because say what you will about the prequels, that was an A to B to C
Yeah,
story arc.
yeah,
This, they're like, fuck it, we'll go as we go along.
yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and
Just
that's like essentially saying, hold my beer.
it's the which would be badass if you knocked it out of the park every time,
Hmm.
right? And you know, it's box office numbers. If that's all you're caring about, then yeah, they knocked it out every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time.
Yeah,
Which,
every time.
if that's all you care about, then congratulations, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not what fans always think.
Hmm.
So let's talk about some of the things that we genuinely loved about this film. Not the mystery of promise,
Hmm.
but what literally was on screen that we were just like, that's great. I really appreciate that. So what was, you know, maybe the first thing for you that stuck out after walking away from this film for maybe the 10th time of watching it? You're just like, that still rings true. This is great.
Dude, honestly, the fucking and I mean it's your first note on here as well. It's the music.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
had motherfucking John Williams coming back and doing John Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is aside from like the original trilogy, only Star Wars soundtrack I've got on vinyl and still will listen to. Like it's just fucking beautiful.
So
It
good.
it brought back every single feeling that we got from the original films as well as the prequels. It was just perfect. So perfect.
That opening sequence where Rey is sort of scavenging and then she slides down the sand dune. And it's that doo diddle diddle doo doo diddle. It's so beautiful. It's new. It's Star Wars, but it's new Star Wars, but it's still it feels connected. It
Oh yeah, it
feels
felt
like Star Wars.
Return of the fucking Jedi.
Yeah.
That was like an Endor feel, or sorry, the Forest Moon of Endor. Like that's what that
so
felt
good.
like.
It was so good.
Mm.
Having those people in place in order to create that content, it felt like, yes, this is what we know. This is what we love. They're paying homage to what came before, and I appreciate it, and it's great. Yeah, the music was amazing. And I know it's a little more abstract, you know, when you're talking about your favorite parts or what was great about these films, when you're talking about the music, because
No, I
let's
don't
be
think
honest,
so.
well, but and yes, music has been incredibly important to the success of Star Wars. I don't think the original film Star Wars, before it was even A New Hope when it came out, would have been close to the masterpiece or received as well as it was if it were not for John Williams.
No, absolutely.
It just added this.
I-
When we watched it, we were fortunate enough that our local symphony um, uh, played the soundtrack as we were watching the film on screen. It was magical.
Mhm.
It was great. And that is what you experienced the first time. You never had this sort of grandiose score for what could arguably be referred to as a Flash Gordon sort of Joseph Campbell epic.
Yeah, straight up.
I mean,
like this without John Williams, it would have. I mean, granted the effects were better, but still, like it essentially would have been Flash Gordon. It would have
Yeah.
been something that was fun and cute to watch, for nostalgia reasons occasionally. But like the scope of the score just added so much to it that it felt so much bigger than it actually was.
yeah. Yeah, and just to see that continue through with the exact same composer, it was just wonderful.
Well, and the fun thing with the soundtrack is I don't know if it's every version, but with like one of the first versions of the soundtrack on vinyl, it was actually a double LP with holographic etchings on it.
Oh yeah.
So you hold a light at it just right, and you'd actually see like a TIE fighter spinning or the Millennium
Bananas.
Falcon. It was so fucking
It was
awesome.
bananas.
It's like this is how you make a goddamn record.
Goddamn right. Yeah, I'm sort of a weirdo. I really love costume design. I thought The Force Awakens did such a good job with their costume design. I thought the stormtroopers looked a little plastic. I mean, clearly they're plastic, but it just felt a little more toy than even the first film ever did.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
stormtroopers in A New Hope, it felt like, oh, this is something gritty and new. Stormtroopers in Force Awakens felt like this is a toy. Like these are walking toys, like I'm Babe in Toyland or something. It was weird. But everything else, Maz Kanata's palace walking, like when we walked in there, I didn't necessarily like the music that much, but the characters were amazing.
Well, and
Like, unarguably.
that's where they killed it with this one was when they set out, they were talking about we're doing as much practical as possible. Because, I mean, realistically, CGI is something that's used constantly and in more ways than most people even notice, like, touching up fucking actors' faces and shit. But yeah, like, they did the right thing. They did all the behind the scenes promotional shit that was like little bumpers on television shows, bringing you back to the re-release of the original trilogy in theaters. Like, they did everything right about that, and it looked so fucking beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, they reflected back on Ralph McQuarrie's original artwork that was never used, which I just desperately love. It's something that they're still doing to today to add authority and authenticity to the Star Wars franchise, which I can't really argue with because it's still good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Seeing those creature designs, the costume designs, like Rey's outfit, I think is still great. Like, it's a great outfit. Finn and Poe's outfits, I thought were just genuine. They didn't feel manufactured or pretentious.
Well, especially Finn, like Finn's reveal in the desert, like after they crash land and he's just stripping piece by piece of armor. One, I can fucking appreciate that. I've been there.
You've been there.
Two, it's like it didn't look like a costume. It looked like, legit, like obviously that's the kind of shit that he's gonna wear. It felt real and it felt lived in, even though the TKs were pretty fucking shiny, which makes sense if most of their shit's like all aerial combat, but still, like, it looked believable.
Yeah. We had this wonderful reflection of watching arguably the best bad guy of the sequel trilogy walk in, Kylo Ren, looking fucking he's like this warrior monk, this evil warrior monk walking in with just all of the gravitas and authority of Vader. And then we find out that he's literally the grandson of Vader. Like, we're just like, what? Holy shit, this is great. Like, he doesn't need to wear a helmet, but he's doing it as an homage, and it just adds all of this fucking mystery to the character. Like, who the fuck is he? Where did he learn how to use these skills? Like, where did he learn these talents? And it just sort of unfolded piece after piece throughout the story. Like, I thought Snoke, as far as costume design, looked great. We had that wonderful scene in Empire Strikes Back where we got to see the first sort of juxtaposition between Vader and the Emperor. The first time we ever saw the Emperor. And I think it was like a chimpanzee face or something in the original version.
It was a very interesting one.
It was weird. But the scale that we got in that is dwarfed by all of the scale we get with Snoke. And so
that scene is just perfection.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 scenes where we get to see that massive, just old world view. Like, we used to have the Pillars of Hercules, where they were these monstrosities of statues on either side of a body of water. We have these insanely large citadels and physical structures, just the fucking pyramids, for fuck's sake, that are just amazing to look at and in scope dwarf us. And in the real world, that's amazing because we don't have that anymore. This is a thing in Star Wars. We hearken back to those ages of our prehistory where we're amazed by just scale. And that really plays through really, really powerfully, I think, in those scenes with Snoke and Kylo Ren, and equally, Hux. This is before Hux was a fucking joke. I mean, he was real. He was a genuine threat. It was him and Kylo Ren vying for power with Snoke.
Yeah,
and
it was
equally.
Vader and Tarkin.
Yes, that was exactly it. I've never seen it in that light before you said that. Crazy enough, but yeah, that's literally it. It's the military side and the arguably religious side vying for authority. And it was so wonderful to see. And again, the First Order costumes, again, they're played through that Nazi sort of lens, but I don't think you can be a human being with a sense of style and say that the Nazis didn't have great style.
Yeah, say what you will about them.
They were horrible, but they looked
like
good.
Fantastic fashion sense. Yeah. Terrible people. Glad they're gone.
It's so weird.
Looked really sharp.
To ever put the Nazis on a fucking pedestal in any light. But they look good.
Well, and that's George Lucas's fault anyways.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they were fucking modeled after in the original film, was like, this is going to be the Gestapo of sci-fi. And it just stuck.
Yeah, they look great. General Hux giving that speech to the fucking entire array before they blasted them. It was great. It was just fucking like, yes, this is what I want to see. It doesn't necessarily say Star Wars to me because it was a little more grandiose than I was used to, but I still dug it.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, it made sense as far as like an evolutionary standpoint, because you get Tarkin's little talking to the princess as well as Vader, and then it's like, oh, we'll blow this motherfucker up. How are you going to top that? Like one of the greatest actors of a generation against another actor of like an arguably great actor of that generation. How are you going to top it? Obviously, go with more Nazi stuff. But like the thing I loved about that scene, other than just sheer destruction, like fucking mass destruction just gives me a weird feeling in my swimsuit area. But like the practical lighting of it, like all the shit they were doing with his face and stuff when they're like really coming in, just fucking beautiful, and like little things that you don't need to make a good movie, but by throwing that on there, that's the cherry on top. A lot like what they did with like Doctor Strange with the practical lighting. It's not necessary, but it's fucking appreciated.
Yeah. So aside from costume design, what was your next favorite part of this?
I mean, really the worlds. Like it's a lot of it was, shit we'd already seen, just different place. We got Starkiller Base. Oh, cool. Hoth, but with trees.
Yeah.
Awesome. Meets the Death Star. But it was awesome. It was great. We hadn't really seen that before in Star Wars, trees and snow. So cool. Different ship. Jakku, like, yeah, it's a desert planet, whatever, fucking desert planet. But holy shit. When we're coming in on what Rey's getting ready to do, and there's a fucking down Star Destroyer. Just showing the scale of it like that. I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. And this is something that I've experienced in television shows, video games, this movie multiple times, and it still gets to me every single time. Like, it's just fucking beautiful.
I love it. That view of her sort of skimming across the desert with that huge down Star Destroyer behind her. And to think that just, in the scene preceding it, she was crawling through that, just scavenging for parts. And her home is a fucking AT-AT down.
Yeah.
Like, god damn it. I love the fact that they're using, and this is something that you see all throughout our existing world. You think Syria's a happy fucking place right now? You think the Ukraine is not going to fucking utilize whatever downed fucking equipment that they happen to be able to scavenge to exist and live in? Yes, they are. They always have. They always will. That's what we humanity. Do. It's fucking, it's a callback to something that was genuinely horrific. But the reality that you're in it and you have to make do with it, there's something beautiful about that spirit of survival and persistence that is within that idea of, I'm going to take what was a machine of war and turn it into either a means of survival or literally my home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful from a humanities standpoint. I love it desperately.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they did a really wonderful job with the droids in this.
Yeah, definitely.
Like BB-8 is amazing.
And especially because it all boils down to, like, they made shit practical.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you get scenes where it is CG and shit, and it's excusable, but like so much of it is practical, and it feels like a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That first, I remember the reveal when they were initially filming this, and they showed BB-8 running across the desert, or rolling across the desert. And they were making a big deal about this is practical. And when everyone first saw it, they was like, "That's not practical. That's not real.
Yeah, there's
You can't
no way.
do that.
How are they doing this?
Fucking, that's not real." And
must
it's
be
real.
witches. Yeah,
Like, it's a fucking thing. You can do that.
Oh, yeah.
It blew my mind, and it was so. It's a circle. It's a fucking wheel. Big deal. It's a ball. Why is that interesting? But it's amazing.
It absolutely is.
No one's done it before. It's
so for me, part of the fun with shit like that is I'm also a part of like costuming groups and all that shit. And one of the subsets of costuming groups that I'm in is droid builders. So just watching people that are way fucking smarter than I could ever pretend to be, figuring out how they did it before they say how they did it was just bonkers to me. I'm like looking at all this shit like, man, you guys are probably all virgins, but you should be getting so much pelt right now. This is fucking dope. Like, it's just insane that people could just come up with that, like, just for fun.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's crazy. What was another thing that stood out to you that you absolutely loved?
Snoke. Like, I fucking loved Snoke, especially those scenes in the cavern. I mean, really, that's all we get anyways, is his interaction that way. But like that, just those interactions, even though it was a blatant ripoff of Vader and Palpatine's interactions in Empire, it felt so much different. Like it almost felt like an occult type of thing. Like, we're watching some sort of ceremony that we shouldn't be watching. And especially like if you guys have read the novelization, which I can't stress enough. If you guys haven't read the novelization,
really
do yourself a favor and read the novelization.
It actually might make you more angry if you read the novelization and then watch the next film. But
it's gonna, it will.
It's
but
great.
The thing is, like, they expand so much on Snoke and so much on that interaction. And just talking about seeing the rise and fall of the Empire and stuff like that just feels like, oh my god, this motherfucker is like a magician or some shit. And not just like a typical space wizard, like he's like a fucking demigod or something. So yeah, like the promise of what we're gonna get with him was just like, I was on fucking board with that. Just so on board with it.
I feel like I was primed to be sort of on board because I had just finished the Plagueis novel when Force Awakens came out, and I didn't get a chance to see the film before I bought the audiobook, and I was driving to a ritual in San Diego listening to the audiobook, and I was just like,
nice.
This is Plagueis! This is fucking Plagueis! Holy fuck, they're bringing Plagueis back! I was in love. It was amazing. Yeah, the characterization, that like the dark side of the Force felt like evil again. It was just like, oh, this is vile, it's twisted, it's not right. They seduced this character that we eventually learn was Ben Solo at one point. Like that just made it more, I don't know, more dirty because it's from characters that we love desperately. And it was just sort of corrupted by this outside force. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Where did he come from? He says he's been here from the rise and fall of the Empire. Again, that's only 30 years, but still, like, who the fuck is this guy?
Fucking deal, yeah.
He's clearly a master of the dark side of the Force, so there must be something greater there. So yeah, they set him up to be something genuinely amazing. I think it's the characters. Before we had any continuation, just thinking about The Force Awakens as far as the characters that are presented, we had the comic series, the road or the journey to A Force Awakens, which set up Poe Dameron's parents being veterans of of Endor, and Luke Skywalker taking two Force-empowered trees away from some Palpatine sort of, I don't know, secret bases or something, and he gave one of the trees to Poe Dameron's parents, and they ostensibly planted it outside of Yavin 4, where they sort of decided to live their lives, and that's where Poe Dameron came from. So when we're presented with Poe Dameron, we already have this backstory of he is a product of being influenced by a force sensitive tree. So seeing him doing all these amazing things with X-wings, it made sense. Like, yeah, he's the greatest pilot in fucking the Resistance, because he's the Anakin Skywalker of pilots right now.
Yeah.
Like, as far as, we're presented with. I totally bought it, and I loved it, and I thought it was a wonderful setup for Poe Dameron. Finn, I thought, was a wonderful turn. He's a human. He doesn't want to murder other fucking people, no matter what side politically or otherwise they may be on. And that's the first presentation. Not only does he have compassion for people that he doesn't want to kill, he has compassion for his other soldiers. When he watched his friend fucking die, and he did that wonderful graphic scene of the blood on the helmet. Like, that's a huge defining moment for a human being to experience. And that just set him up to be like, I don't want death. I choose life. And there's genuine beauty and just, I don't know, there's a majesty in that, in the promise of his character development, that from that moment on, yes, of course, the Phasma is going to fucking hate him for it. And we see that moment when he refused to fire on the citizens, at that opening scene, and Kylo Ren looks over at him, and he looks at Kylo Ren like there's something there. Like he's feeling something, but Kylo's sort of wrapped up in his own shit to really understand it. There's like, no, this kid has the Force, and he's choosing the light side rather than the dark. And you don't really realize it yet, but you kind of know what's happening. It was fucking amazing. And they queued it up so beautifully. And they just dropped it.
Well, then especially at the end, like when fucking Rey falls, or when he gets the lightsaber.
Yes!
Like, holy shit, this motherfucker's wielding it. And holding his own up against somebody who's literally trained with this weapon that he's never fucking touched in his entire life.
Man. I love that part in the book when they were describing the sort of the mental state that Kylo Ren was in. He's like, I'm just fucking with this kid. I'm going to kill him, but I'm just going to play with him. And then he actually cuts him, and he's like, oh, it's over. This is it. Fuck this dude. I was just playing before, but now it's on.
Yeah.
Oh, the characters.
And that's another thing too, like the that you get with the novelization. Because I mean, in the movie, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, he's punching himself. He's a little fucking emo boy. Obviously, he wants to feel a little pain. But in the novelization, it really explains that he's, drawing from the dark side because of the anger and the pain, which anybody who has any idea about the dark side understands. Like, that wasn't just like a fucking, tough guy move. Like, that's him literally fueling his Force sensitivity. Like, that scene was so goddamn good.
Which is so overt and brash. We've never had anything like that before. And to see it and understand it, it's brilliant. Like, it's just like, it seems like such a simple thing when you don't really, understand what's happening, but no, it's fucking brilliant. If all of your power comes from hate and anger and rage and pain, yes, you're going to be a Cenobite. Of course you would.
Fuck yeah.
That's where your strength comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fuck, I would be flaying my skin. I would be, like, fucking piercing every part of my eyeball. Like, fuck.
Right. Well, and it's funny, too, because that's a narrative, like, all through Legends and shit. But we don't even really see it too much in Legends. I mean, we get it with Bane, with his, I forget what fucking parasite that was.
Like a chitin or...
Yes,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. But essentially becomes armor that takes over the wielder, but he's in constant pain, and he has to focus. Like, God,
that trilogy was so good.
Jesus Christ, I know. Fucking Darth Bane is something I hope they don't ever touch. I really...
It's horrible because I want to see it, but I know it's not going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they did in the Clone Wars with him.
Oh, yeah, they totally changed it. Yeah.
It completely changed. So I don't want them to touch that. Yeah. Just like with Revan. I want to see Revan. I mean, everybody has their little fanboy shit about seeing him, and especially like Keanu Reeves for some fucking reason playing Revan.
Huh. Okay.
I couldn't see because he's not a good actor. I like him. I like his movies, but he's also a terrible actor.
It's rough because Keanu Reeves is one of those people like, is he good or isn't he? Because I really enjoy everything that he does, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like at
Constantine.
all.
Constantine's one of my favorite movies of his, and I
Constantine's your
do
favorite
not
Keanu Reeves movie?
apologize at all for how much I like that movie. I am the opposite of the person that should like that movie because I have been reading Hellblazer for fucking ever. Like I've got every single one that came out up until it went to Disney or DC. Like I follow that shit. I love that shit. And he is not John Constantine at all, but something about that movie, man, I fucking love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't want to see him as.
I liked his horror flick with oh fuck, I can't remember his name. Oh, he did Green Inferno. He was a dude like got home alone basically, and these two girls came in and like seduced him, and then basically punished him for being seduced. He was great in that.
I don't think I
saw
that one.
It's free pizza. Like it was so good. You have to see this film. It's great. I'll figure it out.
As soon as you remember what it is.
It was the dude who did Green Inferno, the director. Fucking Eli Roth.
Yeah, Eli Roth. There we go.
So good. So anyway, I don't know why we're talking about. We gotta get off of fucking
So
Keanu Reeves.
So another one, Phasma. Holy fucking shitballs! I love Phasma.
Mm-hmm.
I still love Phasma. Like that novel, especially.
Oh my gosh,
dude, she is fucking mad ass.
It's so good. If you've never read the Phasma novel, you don't know Phasma, and I understand why you wouldn't like her if you did not read the novel. That novel was Claudia. Was that Claudia Gray? Who did the Phasma novel? I don't think it was Claudia Gray. I got to figure out. Hold
on, I got it somewhere. If you guys want to give me 2 seconds.
No. It was Delilah Dawson.
Yeah, Delilah Dawson. Delilah S. Dawson.
She did so good with the Phasma novel.
Yeah.
She took a character that, if you've watched Force Awakens and any of the other films, you're just like, I don't know why they're so special. Why do they look the way they do or anything? But that novel put her on a plane that was like, it explained why she was in a position of authority. She earned it just through the struggle of living.
Yeah.
Such a good character. And then just thrown in a trash compactor.
Yeah. Which again, we can talk about because we're not talking about that movie.
Right.
So not a negative thing.
Right.
Yeah, no, in this, she's just so goddamn powerful. Like, she pretty much doesn't even have to do anything but walk. And you're just like, she's a bad motherfucker.
She doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, and she's still a bad motherfucker.
Like thinking back on the film, in the novel, she did more. In the film, she didn't do literally anything. She just talked down to people.
Yeah, she yelled at Finn a couple of times. So there was that.
I don't remember what the name was, Shauna, whether it was Knock Knock. That doesn't sound right, but it could be. It was Eli Roth and it was Keanu Reeves. We watched it.
That sounds right.
It was,
I think.
He was a musician and he was like smoking weed and then maybe it was Knock Knock. He was like, why would I not have sex with you? It's free pizza. And I was just like, yeah, it is free pizza. You're offering it. Why are you punishing him for something that you offered? You're horrible humans. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, but he was married and he was happy in his marriage. Like he is a bad guy. Maybe he did deserve it. No, Phasma was great. It was this promise of a character that, she wore the armor based off of Emperor Palpatine's fucking Naboo starfighter ship. Like that, just that alone is this great story to like, how did she get it?
Yeah.
Why his? Why not anyone else's? Like there's just all this mystery involved that was so great. I know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I understand why people complain so much about Rey, about being a Mary Sue, and how unbelievable of a character she was. But if you just think in terms of the first film, she's not dissimilar from Anakin. She's not dissimilar from Luke. In the context of the first film, she didn't really do anything amazing or successful when you think of her life as a scrounger. She would know the things that she could do. The Force was another thing, but we didn't figure that out until future films, and so it was just a mystery out there. why she was so good at using the Force. But I thought Rey was a beautiful character initially. We've had strong females throughout all of Star Wars films in the form of fucking Leia. God damn it. The strong, arguably the person who has suffered the most and been the strongest throughout everything. Luke barely meets fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. He dies a minute later and he's like, oh, Obi-Wan, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Leia's been a politician since she could walk for her fucking planet, and she watched it be blown up. And she was just like, I can still manage.
Like, come on, boys, I'll get you out of this fucking wicket.
Come on, fly boys. She's amazing. Like, if there's one calling card for Star Wars, it's always been strong female characters. So any of you fucking douchebags out there that think that's different, you need to fucking watch your shit, because it's not.
And that's why I hate it when people are like, oh, well, Star Wars is for boys. No, it's fucking not. Like, how could you not be drawn at, and I mean, I'm going out on a limb because I'm not a female, but how could you not be drawn to even just Leia in the first fucking movie?
Yeah.
She's the goddamn hero of the movie.
Yeah.
Period.
Princess
Luke gets a lucky
Leia.
shot. Han decides, fuck it, I'll be a good friend. That's it. Leia's the real fucking brains behind everything. So, yeah, fuck you, anybody that says that shit. That'll be my negative thing about this. Well, that's not even part of the movie. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, with this, there was so much promise with all the characters.
Yeah.
And, like, going back to, like, the Force abilities of Rey, the thing is, anybody that has read the books understands there's such a wide array of special abilities with the Force.
Oh yeah.
Like it's limitless, and it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an example of somebody being able to learn how to use the Force by literally just connecting with somebody. It's almost like she's the rogue character in Star Wars, where she touches somebody's Force presence and she absorbs it. So it's and I'm drawing on a blank right now on what book shit that's in, but I mean, it's something that's been experienced before, just like with the Rise of Skywalker, people throwing a fit over the Force healing. Motherfucker, that's been a part of everything since the beginning of the games.
Yeah.
Like, even my understanding, like tabletop games, like that's nothing new. So when people
I played the West End role-playing games, and that was a thing.
Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience with it was like not the Old Republic, but Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
That was just a thing. So I didn't have a hard time with that. I bought it. It kind of lost its momentum in further films, but in the context of this film, I loved everything about her.
Yeah, she was great. You know, on future watches, I don't like her performance as much as I did the first few times, but that's just me nitpicking, because I thought that she did justice to the character that was presented. I thought, you know, that was written on the page. I think she did a wonderful job as an actress portraying a character. I thought the character was intriguing. It was interesting. I don't know anyone who can't watch that first opening sequence of her scavenging and think, this is an interesting character. Like, I want to learn more. And even when she was offered a position as a fucking second mate on the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon, and she was like, I got to get back home. You know, and we had that beautiful moment between her and Maz Kanata where she was like, you know that there's nothing there. You know no one's coming. Take the lightsaber. And even then, she couldn't do it. She's like, no, I want to believe that someone loves me, that someone cares, that someone's going to come for me. Like, that is such a human moment. Like, if you've never felt alone or lost in life, that is what she's drowning in on a regular basis. She's literally fighting to eat every night portions of dinner. And that is her life. If you can't emotionally connect with that, you must have an amazing life. Like, congratulations.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. Like, the character's so good in this first film. Maz Kanata is a bit of a mixed bag for me, because I love the promise of her. I think she's weird, personally, just like as a character side of things, but I love the fact that she opened up for sort of the Star Wars film audience, this idea of the Force being seen and used in a way other than Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever presented in any film that way before.
Not that I can think
In
of.
comics and novels, it was always there. Like that was,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was the
definitely.
thing. If you watched any of the cartoons or anything, it was always the thing. But as far as like a film audience, I was just like, wow, this is interesting. She's like, I'm not a Jedi, but I know the Force.
Hmm.
You're like, wait, what? How is that? How again? Like all nerds of us know, but anyone
Hmm.
else wouldn't have a fucking clue. And I love that, and the fact that she's like looking at people like, look, I had this really weird experience. I had this weird experience in the military. I had a lot of weird experiences in the military. I was we were playing spades inside of an M1A1 Abrams tank, and me and a bunch of mechanics. And the NCO that was about to leave, that I was supposed to be the soldier underneath, he was like, "Look, I've met so many different soldiers; they all sort of blend together. You look at one person and all their traits and behaviors, and you know that you're going to meet other soldiers just like that down the line." Like, and anytime you meet someone new, a new soldier, you're like, oh, you're like X or Y, because you've already seen that type of a human before. There's not that many variations of human experience out there, because we all have very similar life experiences,
Yeah.
regardless of where you're brought up. So the fact that you're going to see people over and over again that remind you of other people you already met, and that human experience is always going to sort of repeat itself because we are just humans, was reflected in Maz Kanata saying, looking on Finn like, I've seen your eyes before. I've seen what that means. You're just trying to run and hide. And then she looks at Rey and she's like, I know, you have strength and courage. You just don't know what it is yet. And that's why you're sort of freaking out. I loved that. It's not introspection. I love, I don't know what that is called, wisdom or this foresight or whatever it's called, that she could share that awareness of the human condition in this weird sci-fi film that rung true with me, just some regular asshole from fucking nowhere. That like, no, I understand exactly. I had a soldier, an NCO, that said exactly the same thing to me that you're saying to this heroine in this film, so I can connect with that experience. I thought it was beautiful. And even though I think the character is weird, like, I can't imagine anyone want to fuck Chewie. He's awesome. I want to hug him and sleep in his arms, but I don't want to fuck him. And she's like, where's my boyfriend? Like, all right, let your freak flag fly, lady. Like,
Hell yeah,
how
I mean,
can you
she's
take
got
Chewbacca?
she's got eclectic tastes. I mean, she seems like she would break him before he broke her. I just get that sort of vibe from her. Like, okay, I mean, just great example. This little bitty thing about this fucking big is running a big ass cantina that everybody's allowed to go to. That's why they've got all the flags. And nobody fucks around because they know if they fuck around, she's going to fuck them up.
Yeah.
Like, so I just imagine that's why he stands the fuck back, because he's like, man, I don't know if I can go another round with her. And that's some shit.
Yeah. I thought it was great.
And her palace, like, I cannot get over how fucking awesome it was to get the like screenshots of the flags they were flying.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid that they paid fan service, but it was so well like received. Like, I'm a part of the 501st, and the fucking 501st flag was flying at the palace. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, that's us, we're real. Oh wait, we're already real.
We're real.
Star Wars. Wait, we're already real in Star Wars. Oh well, it's a new movie. It was the coolest goddamn thing to see.
Hell yeah. No, it was great. Everything about that. And it made the destruction of her palace that much more painful. She's like, Han Solo sort of teed it up like she's been doing this for like 1,000 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is a place of gravity, of weight, like emotional and just economical, like financial weight. Like, this is a place where things happen. And
Yeah.
she's clearly directing the entire thing, and she makes it look effortless, and she can take time out for one particular person that walks through the door. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
everyone else is, to your point, is showing mad respect and not acting out and just, being cool. Like, we're first introduced to Mos Eisley as the hive of scum and villainy.
Mhm.
And motherfucker's arms were chopped off.
Yeah.
like shit happened there. And people just turned a blind eye. Nothing happened here.
Yeah.
Like, people showed respect to Maz Kanata's palace. And that was cool. They just made you like feel like, okay, this is someone that's badass. And not to mention, the fucking environment was beautiful.
It
It's like on a
was.
lake with fucking beautiful trees everywhere. In that moment when Ray said, "I didn't know there's this much green in the galaxy," I was just like, "Oh,
Yeah, no, I can appreciate
oh,
that.
I get it. You grew up in a shithole. Like,
Yeah.
I get it."
Like, I have that feeling every time I fly out of the fucking country. It's like, oh my god, there's wilderness in places. This is amazing.
Is that a chupacabra? Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. It
One
was
of these
so good.
days, god damn it, I'll find one.
You'd capture it and bring it home.
Hell yeah.
This is my new pet. The
Yeah, I'll just put a
chupacabra.
mustache on it and sombrero. I'll be like, no, it's my cousin.
A mustache on
Yeah.
it.
Mustache is
This is my
it disguises
cousin.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is Tom Selleck. Have you met him before? This is obviously Tom Selleck. What else was sort of like stand out to you?
I mean, really, that's pretty much the gist of it. Like, the characters were great. Like, I honestly can't think of a single character that I don't like. The interactions with the characters are fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything, I don't know. It was a great first course.
Yeah.
Like, it was like
Yeah.
what is going to get your appetite going, what's going to get you excited for the, next coming meal. And it's just, it's so much build up that you're just like, yes, we've had this before in Star Wars. I don't give a fuck. This is awesome. I want more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the worst part about it is that, Star Wars falls back on a narrative tradition that has been around since the dawn of humanity. We're just retelling the same hero myths. And that's why it means so much to us, and it connects so deeply to us, is that this is what it means to be human and tell stories. And to see it again, anyone who calls it derivative or paying fan service, well, you can literally call that on anyone. Everyone like goes crazy about Tolkien, but he's telling the same type of story. It's just the hero fucking story.
Well, and with Tolkien especially, like, all his stories were based on ancient stories from lost tribes of his nation. Like, he did nothing new. He just told it in such a way that it's lived on well past him and will live on well past us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I think that's sort of the beauty of human tradition, is that we tell new variations of the same story over and over again, and we connect with them so deeply because it's something that we've always done as a species. And we always will do, and nothing will ever change in that. And that doesn't mean it's derivative or it's played out. That just means that these same themes mean something to us, because we as a species we have a capacity cap that we've never been able to break out of, and that's experience. And until we can break out of our own human experience, we're never going to understand those big questions, the answers to those big questions of why we're here, what are we doing, what does it all mean? Maybe it means nothing. Maybe we're just here and our experience is all we have. But that makes it so much more impactful and powerful. And that's why I appreciate stories like these so much, is that I don't care if I've seen similar things or similar stories or similar narratives or similar characters. It's always slightly new, and everything is like that. You tell the same exact horror story 1,000 different ways. It's still the same horror story. We just enjoy it differently,
Yeah.
So this film definitely did it for it. There were some mysteries in this that really got my blood boiling, like wanting more, like really wanting to dive in more, that still don't feel like they're satiated.
Yeah,
Like
Snoke and Luke.
fucking Luke and Snoke. Like, we don't understand what
Yeah.
there's a novel that's coming out that's supposed to explain Luke and Lando's, which is a weird pairing in my opinion. Exploration of trying to figure out who Snoke is and stuff. And then we had this sort of like truncated understanding of who Snoke is because of, the last film that came out. But just in the context of this first film, I want to know more. Like, nothing has ever been answered as of yet, and we're so many years past.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great mystery setup.
Yeah, definitely.
We're already
and then
over an
Luke
hour.
at the
Holy
end,
shit.
like to have just that last scene of him just standing there, doesn't say shit, barely shifts, and it's like, damn it, this motherfucker just dropped the mic. Like, that's how you end a movie. That's how you make them wanting more. Like, that was the potential between him and like his story arc, where he's been, what's been going on, and the mystery of who the fuck is this Snoke guy. That is all that I wanted from the next film. Well, the rest of the trilogy, actually.
It's crazy because
so much.
The Luke Skywalker that we knew was Return of the Jedi. That's all we knew about him. If you read the novels, then you knew even greater things that were all in line with everything we saw in Luke's Return of the Jedi. But if you didn't read any of the novels or any of the comics, then you just knew Return of the Jedi, and that was a hopeful, positive, even in the darkest times, there is a glimmer of light type of Luke. And so it was just this, I don't even know how to fucking describe it. It was everything that I wanted to be as a young boy, because I was picked on and I was sort of a loser. And he was like this promise, you could be from nowhere and still be something and meaningful to someone.
Yeah.
It was great. And then to have him in that last scene, you were just like, oh, he's going to drop some shit. Like, why would he walk away? What could have caused that? And we got a hint of it when Han Solo was talking about his student that turned bad, and we learned that that's Kylo Ren. But we never really had the full context behind it. You're like, there must have been some shit. Like, something horrible must have happened to take this amazingly hopeful, positive human being who saved his dad, who had lived 30 years through fucking hell as a monster, and brought him to the light. Like, there has got to be something that was so horrible that would drag this character that we all know and love as a hero to just abandon everyone and everything. It's this wonderful mystery. Like, I have to understand this.
Yeah.
And to think that Snoke is out there and he fears Luke's return so much that he's like, if he comes back, we're dead. Like, that's it. You have to stop this, Kylo. We're going to die. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
This new Snoke bad guy that's like way more scary than the Emperor ever seemed to be. Like, fuck, or at least on par. Like, it had to be bad. But yeah, I was so excited. God damn it. I saw the other ones.
I know, it's like, why did they have to do the other ones? Just let it go.
Stop. Yeah, just stop.
Because anytime I talk about this one in particular, it is usually just so much happiness.
Yeah.
And it's like, this was great. Like, this one I saw in theaters, I want to say like 4 or 5 times, and was happy every single time I got to see it.
Yeah.
And that's where we should end, because it's only going to go downhill.
So we do know that Obi-Wan is coming out as a series very, very soon. We're excited to do that. We are going to be doing episode reviews on Sunday evenings for that. The Star Wars Celebration is coming out very, very soon, and that's going to be out when the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan are released. And we're probably going to get a ton of answers about projects and release dates and trailers and stuff.
Hopefully.
So we're all really excited for that. We just had Star Wars Day, and which is always a great time to pick up any digital versions of films or books or video games because they're always, discounted on Star Wars Day.
Oh yeah. Shit, I got a fucking Jawa ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Star Wars deal on Star Wars Day, as much as I fucking despise it, it's like Star Wars Day isn't the 4th, you stupid assholes. It's the 25th. Whatever. Won't get into that.
Yeah. Is it when the film was initially released, or is it just a
that's
number?
Star Wars Day and everybody else, not May 4th. That's just stupid. But yeah, the deals are always awesome.
Yeah. I was actually really excited to pick up a couple more art books. And then I saw that the discounted price of the art books from one retailer was more expensive than the regular price, our same art books from another retailer. I was like, how are you going to fucking do that? Anyone who cross price checks is going to realize that you're full of shit. Like, it's not a discount, you fuckers.
That's great.
You're just trying to capitalize on the goddamn day. So I didn't buy shit. I didn't buy anything on the day. So fuck all of you.
Yeah, bastards.
Bitches. All right. I don't know. What else you want to talk about? Anything else?
No, I think we got it. I mean, the usual stuff. We got a show you should watch.
Oh, yeah.
We got Willow stuff.
We have a show.
That's fun. You should watch that shit, too. I'm learning a lot. And don't forget to check out our apparel, because if you want to look sweet like Adam, all you have to do is go to our apparel store, which is... Fuck, we don't have it. Where is it, Adam?
Designed by Humans.
Yeah,
just search Infernal Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you should be able to find it.
God damn. Yeah, I had it written down, and I had it at the bottom and was looking the wrong place. Anyways, go buy our shit. It's cheap, it's awesome. You'll look fucking awesome.
Great designs, too. Like if we're being honest, it's not just, we're scruffy looking Nerf Herders. Of course, that's just fucking something that Princess Leia said as an epic burn on Solo, which was hilarious in Empire. But the truth is like a Nerf skull, like the animal in Nerf, has a wonderful looking skull. Like, it's great. And so we did this wonderful illustration of the skull, and is part of our logo and stuff. You can get these, you can get the full color, you can get a stressed version, or you can get like a black and white epic looking version of it. So
the black and white one's pretty dope.
It's pretty cool. The problem is you can never really trust screen printers on what, consistency and whether it's going to turn out great or not. But the design's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
if I do say so myself. Yeah, as a bit of a closing, I just want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in live or after the fact. Your time and attention is really important. We're going to talk about this no matter what, because we're just sort of obsessive like crack addicts about Star Wars.
That's how it is.
It's a problem, but it's one that we're not going to get rid of anytime soon.
No,
and so thanks for coming on the journey with us. We really appreciate it. And again, we're going to have a lot of Obi-Wan Kenobi coming up. And then at some point, later in this year, we're going to have the Bad Batch. We're going to have
Don't we have Andor this year?
Andor, thank you. I was trying to think of the damn name of it. We're going to have Andor coming out. So there's a lot coming that is really, really exciting. And, whether you agree with us or not, it doesn't matter. It's another Star Wars person sharing Star Wars ideas with other Star Wars people. And that's fun. So let's just continue to have fun together. So
hell yeah.
Till next time, may the Force be with you.
That's not how the Force works.
It's really not. Coming from the scoundrel who doesn't know shit about the Force.
Right, I love that shit.
I love it when Chewbacca's all... He's like, oh, you're cold. Furball.